Welcome to the Own It Powercast, the place to be when you get serious about making big changes and accelerating growth in your life and in your relationships. Finally create the life you've always wanted, living life on your own terms. Learn how to take your fear and turn it into powerful choices that will create sustained change. Now your host, Mary Baker.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Own It Powercast, a place where you can come to get what you need to move yourself forward. Hey, it's Mary Baker and welcome to episode 149. Creating change means letting go. So welcome back to this month, which has been all about moving toward what we want to change in our life by focusing on our habits and learning how to embrace self-discipline as a form of self-love and self-care. Well, today I want to finish out this month by talking about how, in order to have and do the new things that we want, we must also work on letting go of what no longer works for us. Now, first, I want to talk about the fact that if letting go were easy, you would have already done it. The bigger the betrayal, the bigger the loss, the bigger the guilt, the bigger the consequences of what happened to you and perhaps to those around you, the harder it is to let go. We may have some beliefs around letting go that we're going to talk about today, but I just want you to think about as you listen to this episode, kind of where are you? Where are you in that continuum of holding on so tight? And maybe it's still too new and too fresh, and that's fine. You need your time and you need your process. Between that and really letting go. And when I think of letting go, I think of not stepping over something, not shoving it down, not forgetting about it, not the bravado defensiveness, like I'm fine, it didn't matter to me kind of thing, but really having made some peace. I'm sure you've heard folks talk about, when you've let go of something, when you can bring it up or someone else can bring it up and you don't have an emotional attachment to it as much as you used to. It's more matter of fact. It really does mean putting it to rest, not picking it up, not trying to dissect it anymore, not trying to have it be different. And as you listen today, I want you to think about how well do you know how to grieve and how comfortable are you in doing that? You've heard me say before, if there's one thing you learn how to do, learn how to grieve. It helps us grow up in the inside. It helps us be open to new and to love and to happiness and to joy because we've sat in the pain and we've essentially let go of control. So that's the other theme that's running through this episode is, ironically, letting go of control will help you be more disciplined in moving towards what you want. All right, so just wanted to say that first to kind of get you thinking about what this really means. And if it isn't easy, don't be hard on yourself. If it isn't easy for a reason. Doesn't mean we don't have to do it. Or rather, we may want to do it so that we can feel freer and lighter and we can create the kind of life that we want. All right, so what are some things that I think might be helpful to let go of in order to create good change in your life? Well, the first one's kind of obvious, the old habits. The ones that we've been talking about this month, like poor self-care, procrastination, rushing through things, being disorganized, avoiding hard discussions, avoiding tackling the garage, avoiding looking at your eating habits. Or maybe you do all that, but you do too much. You pile on. You have too much on your plate. You're running around. You're not going to have time to squeeze in things that you might want to do for yourself. Maybe you're caretaking. So old habits that no longer serve you. And I don't want you to bring judgment to them. I just want you to look at and see, do they work for you anymore? Why or why not? Because you can change them. Another thing we want to let go of, and what I just spoke to a few moments ago, are old resentments. What needs to be grieved in your heart, not your head? What fears come up as you imagine moving through and beyond, not past? What happened? What's left unsaid that maybe you could write a grief letter about or get some therapy around so you can heal it and put it down? Also, I think we often don't realize that at the core of resentment a lot of times can be not forgiving ourselves, maybe for what we allowed in our life, maybe for not doing things differently, or letting ourselves be manipulated and or abandoned. And I want you to really grab some context here and look at some reality. You did the best you could with what you had. Really. If you knew better and could have done better, you would have done better. And even if you knew better and didn't do better, it's because you weren't ready to yet. And there are lots of reasons for that. Maybe you couldn't handle the change. Maybe it would have been awful for you and you didn't have a lot of love and support around you to leave that toxic relationship, as an example. You do better today because you've learned. And I think one way you can really make amends to yourself is to look for the valuable lessons, not punishments, not consequences, but lessons, such as, you deserved better, looking back. Maybe you should have listened to your gut. Maybe you should have set boundaries that you knew you wanted to set, but were afraid to. Or maybe you didn't even know about boundaries, and therefore, only in hindsight can you see how they were violated or not respected or not set by you. Each lesson, I think, is wrapped in that context I often talk about as well. If you had been given better early in life, you would have put healthier people in your life later. You would have had better boundaries. You would have had better self-esteem, etc., etc. Not repeating the lessons, learning them, in other words, is how we make it right with ourselves and with those we love. By doing this healing work, by changing your habits and behaviors, you can make it right. You can't go back and change the past, but you can live differently here forward. Another thing that can really impede our progress is guilt. There's two types of guilt, earned and unearned. Earned, you feel guilty for things you actually did, or maybe didn't do and should have, that had a bad result. There's no argument that this belongs to you. But even after you've made your amends and did what you could to fix it in whatever way possible, are you still allowing that guilt to hold you back from what you want? Is it because you don't think you deserve good things and to change and be happy because of what you've done or failed to do? I mean, look, I get it. There can be irreparable damage in our relationships if there's been betrayal or abuse or both. But that doesn't mean we don't get to live better and have a happier life. It may not be with that person anymore, but we have a right to change and we have a right to experience better for ourselves. I deal with this all the time when I work with relationships, especially when there's been a betrayal. And the betrayer unfortunately makes things worse after a while because they don't want to ask for what they need because they feel guilty for stepping out of the relationship or spending too much money or whatever they did. But unfortunately, that creates a bigger problem because then they're not trustable. Because if you don't have needs, you can't trust yourself and your partner can't trust you. Don't let guilt get in the way of what you need. Let it get in the way of maybe what you want at the moment. Like maybe you want your partner to forgive you right away. Okay, that's a want, not a need. But there are needs. Needs to love yourself, needs to feel good about yourself, the need to make changes, the need to move towards something, the need to feel confident and proud of yourself. There's the other guilt called unearned. This is a lot trickier. It's a lot trickier sometimes to point it out. If you grew up in relationships that used guilt and manipulation, it's going to be a lot harder for you to see it. What do I mean by unearned guilt? For example, thinking that you're responsible for other people's feelings and their needs outside of little kids and elderly you take care of. Responsible for their jealousy, their controlling behaviors, or their low self-esteem. Therefore, you couldn't possibly do good things for yourself that may change things. Because of them, you. Remember that enmeshment statement that I use all the time. Remember detachment instead. Just because they can't handle it doesn't mean you can't get healthier, doesn't mean you shouldn't go after a better job, doesn't mean you shouldn't get better habits going, etc. Their stuff is about them. Your stuff is about you. There's nothing wrong with you wanting good things for your life. Now, it's assumed you're negotiating needs. You're negotiating boundaries with people. You're not being selfish, and you're not doing anything to anyone's detriment. True detriment. And that's the work. That's why it's so important to run this stuff by people, by objective, healthy people who can help you look at the situation, tease out the variables, and say, wait a minute. You're not being a jerk for asking for this. There's nothing wrong with what you want to do to take care of yourself, and they'll tell you why. I know you may want the support from the person making you feel guilty. Usually these are primary relationships, and that's why we want it. It's our mom, it's our sister, it's our best friend, it's our partner. But as much as you need this support, I encourage you to get it elsewhere from friends and support groups, a therapist, a coach, wherever you can get it. Because unearned guilt is such a big lie that unhealthy people use to keep you stuck like and with them. I have seen it ruin more opportunities for people. I've seen it get in the way of people not allowing themselves to live fully, and that's very sad. Don't let that be you. Figure out first, is it earned or unearned guilt? If it's earned, do something about it. If it's unearned, get some help around working through that for yourself. So those are some things we want to let go of. Old habits, old behaviors. And another one here is old beliefs. This is a big one, and this is change at the identity level, which is life-changing. Whenever you've changed something deep about who you are, you know that if you've done some of that, you don't forget that. Those are defining moments in your life when you first started doing that. So I want you to listen to the following statements and see if any of them resonate with you. Don't give yourself time to think about them. Don't give the right answer. Just notice if any of them hit your heart in any way. All right, here's the first one. Don't draw attention to yourself. So don't start a business. Don't speak up in meetings. Write that book or teach that class. Think back in your life maybe where that came from in your family. What was said? What was some of the messaging around the dinner table that you got? Another one, are you sure you can do that? Which is code for don't trust your abilities. Don't trust that you think you can do something. Don't trust your experience or your wisdom or what you've learned. Next one, I can't believe you don't appreciate all I've done for you. Feeling that unearned guilt for what they want for you and not what you want for yourself. Just because they doesn't mean you. And even if they chose to do wonderful things for you and make big sacrifices, they did that by choice. We're not supposed to make our kids pay for our choices. Don't pay for your parents' choices or your partner or whoever. Next belief. But that's going to be so expensive. How are you going to do that? Here is having a lack mentality and fear-based view of money and or maybe trust that you could pull that off. Next belief, you should always put others' needs before your own. That's code for taking care of your dreams, your needs is selfish. And that's not true. And finally, who the hell do you think you are? Well, I don't think that needs any explaining, does it? These beliefs are like I always say, driving the bus, whether we realize it or not. If we refute these beliefs, both by talking a lot about them and how they're not okay and not true, and how they've held you back and maybe cost you so much over the years, and that you need to form new ones, then you need to begin doing things that make the new ones true. Okay, because your subconscious is going to love that experiential data. That's when I see people's lives really start to change as they start taking a few steps out there to refute the old faulty beliefs. Then they gather the data, the experiences that they have, what people say to them, the feedback they get, the results, and then that proves the new belief and refutes the old one. Here are some ways you can reframe these beliefs. The first one is shine. Shine, you have gifts to share. You would not want to teach, sing, write, create, or lead, I don't think, if you didn't have some kind of gift for one of those things. I just don't believe that. If you don't believe me, ask people around you who are healthy enough to tell you the truth, and they'll reflect back what they think you're really great at and what comes easy for you and what seems to light you up and give you energy. The next one, you can go after whatever you put your mind to and commit yourself to. Doesn't mean you don't have to work hard, but you can ask for help and you can learn and you can grow. That's up to you. The next one, just because they wanted you to study engineering because they are paying for college, doesn't mean you have to want to do it or do it anyway. You get to choose. And if that means you turn down tuition help, okay. That is your choice. It's their choice whether they want to try to control what you study. The next one is up to you how you save or borrow or fundraise to do your thing. You can figure it out and still be responsible. And finally, a refute to who the hell you think you are is you're an amazing human that has a heart, a mind, a soul. And you're here to do great things. You deserve to listen to your heart, your passion, and follow your gut. Okay, so I want you to think about some of those beliefs and maybe other ones that you might hold. And they're called distorted beliefs or limiting beliefs for a reason because they hold us back. We will do what we believe. If we think it's kind to let people get in front of us in line, we'll do that. If we believe it's selfish to take care of ourselves, we won't take care of ourselves. We'll run around taking care of everyone else. I want you to think really hard this week around what might be some of those core beliefs, maybe that you're not even aware of. A really great exercise is to look at what you do in a given week, like moment by moment, and try to extrapolate, okay, what is the belief that drives that? Then I want you to think about that. And do you want to keep that belief or do you want to have a new one? That's where life starts really changing. Another way you know your life's getting ready to really change is you are sitting in what I call the frustration phenomenon. And what that is, and that is either in a specific area or a bunch of areas in your life, you are so frustrated. You are so fed up. It just bothers you. You think about it all the time. Things keep happening, quote unquote, that bug you, that make you angry, make you frustrated. You want different. It's because friction over time makes fire. I think the frustration for us will grow in a certain situation or with a certain behavior of ours or of other people until we are so sick of it that we see no reason to hold on to it or tolerate it or do that behavior or have that belief anymore. Friction creates fire under our butt to get moving. But I think deeper too, what this also does, it is helping us to let go. Like we talked about in the beginning of the episode. It doesn't work for us anymore. we're outgrowing it, like outgrowing clothing when you were a kid. It's too tight. It's too restrictive. It's uncomfortable. 6 months before, that shirt fit great. When we grow, we outgrow. So if you are so frustrated, take heart. This means you're getting ready to change. Maybe you have to hit a bottom before you do that. Maybe the frustration has to get really bad. I don't know. And I can't tell you how long you're going to sit with this fire under your butt. But I can tell you, if you sit with it, analyze it, think about it, see what you feel about it, talk to people about it, I think you'll come up with some really interesting information. So the frustration phenomena will help you. It'll help you let go of the old and allow the new. And this is the last one I want to talk about today. You know, part of the change process is loss, right? Change is loss, and so we have to grieve. But it's also bracing for the new, the different, the exciting, and the fabulous without sabotaging it. You guys know who you are, because we are waiting for it to be ripped away. Or we're waiting to screw it up. Or we're not sure even how to do it. You know, this is a trauma response, and it's okay. You have it for a reason. But remind yourself for the choice to be healthier and happier. You don't have to go through life having the same trauma responses you have today. They're all fear. Will the other shoe drop? Can I trust this? Will it be okay? Can I trust myself? Can I trust the people who say they want to help me? And what I want to say, yes, you can. And you can do this in an evidence-based way. You don't try to do it all by yourself. You get some therapy and some coaching around those trauma responses. You do the work you need to do to heal, to feel stronger and more confident. You look at your support around you, make sure that's healthy and not toxic. There are things that you can do that will show you that, yes, there are valid reasons why you can do this, and you can trust that things will get better. It's not that shit's not going to happen in your life, but in general, the healthier we become, the better our life gets. That's a fact. Conversely, I want you to think about, okay, if you stay right where you are right now, what's your life going to be like? You can trust the process and not try to control it, which includes avoiding it and sabotaging it. You can let go of how things roll out and just control your work, what you choose to work on, what you choose to think, do, and feel, choosing to ask for help, choosing to look in the mirror, choosing to grow, choosing to be different, choosing to be humble and allow others to point things out that are hard, choosing to sit in some grief that you don't want to. The good stuff is always on the other side of the work. Just do the work. That's where all the hope is, I think. So today we finished out the month all about change by focusing on what we need to let go of in order to move forward. From those old limiting beliefs to old habits and fears, we explored how we might be holding on to things without even realizing it. And until we're really ready to let go, I don't think we're going to be able to truly embrace the new and, most importantly, sustain those changes that we so badly want. Again, change does take courage. And I think it takes big ones to let go and trust the process, the universe, and yourself, that you can have better and different. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you got some good stuff out of this episode. Trust yourself this week. Look at your beliefs from your behaviors. Find some good in the world today and be some good. Be sure to check the show notes at ownitpowercast.com and pass that along to friends, because the healthier they get, the better your life will be. All right, so pay it forward. Keep focusing on you, and I'll see you next time.
We hope you took away some useful insights and tools you can begin using right away. If you did, please leave a positive review and share on your social media. Because could you imagine if everyone in your life really got it together? Remember, own it now, so you can really own it later.